Okay, this evening's agenda setting meeting is now called to order. We have a roll call, please.
Mr. Bacon.
Here.
Mr. DeCrosta.
Here.
Mr. Lawrence.
Here.
Ms. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Thielacker may be coming online here. I don't know. President Bioki.
Present.
Mayor DeMarco. Mr. Corbel.
I'm here.
Mr. Brett. Police Chief Williams. And I'm the interim manager. So I guess I'm here.
Do we have anybody present for public comment? Okay, no. Okay, we get on with the committee reports. Start with operations and policy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have the status report at this point to update anybody on anything. This is going to be every 2 years, operations and policies go through procedures and boring things like that. So I'll start with that. One thing I'll pass around on paper is you have it already, but just in case you don't have a copy of it. It's the Forest Hills Borough Communications Policy. We tend to keep constantly referring to that throughout the year. It covers the restriction of policies about how everything goes out on Facebook, any other approved platform, Savvy Citizen, how emergency reports are handled by the mayor and chief of police, and such of people. It will also be distributed. President will be discussing this later on in this committee, but it will also be distributed to all the advisory committees, planning, zoning, because it's relevant for them too. Okay, the things I wanted to go through tonight, I'm going to talk first about this meeting. A couple of you, two of you, one of you is new, since this was redone, and interim management not done. And we did this. Once a month, we are conducting an agenda meeting where we are basically doing two things. We are one, each chair is going to make a report on what their committee did in the last month. All right. The chair is doing that. The chair of the committee is running their meeting with you. When they give a report, they're responsible for recognizing people, raise their hands, etc. It's not up to the president of council to do that. It is, of course, the responsibility of the president of council to maintain the quorum if things don't go as they should. But that being said, the goal of each committee chair in the agenda meeting, one, informational, to tell everybody these are the things we are talking about in our committee this month, the last month, basically a status report. It could be we have made no decision, but we think this is something we need to discuss in the process of it. People may have questions, they may not. Second, the chair of the committee will propose any motions, resolutions, and ordinances the committee is recommending. And at this point, we're going to explain, not in tedious details, but explain what we intend to do, and what we're asking to do, and primary thoughts behind that. And then it's open for everyone on council to ask questions and for the chair to work through them. That's really the purpose of the agenda meeting. The individual monthly committee meetings, these will occur each month. Attendance is limited to the 3 council members appointed. We don't want to go to 4 because we have quorum issues there and public reporting. It can and may also include the borough manager. We thought that it may be possible for the manager's attendance to be optional. It may not be necessary. In particular, while we've got an interim manager at limited time here, he may welcome the opportunity not to attend. But
No comment.
yeah, just he applied as much safer. He's saying a couple of roses in. The chair, these are the things that I probably should send an email out about this. The chair of the committee is responsible for creating the agenda and getting it out to their committee. If the chair is also responsible for creating the minutes and getting them out to everyone on council and the mayor with, I just said, a reasonable period. It would be nice within a week. If you can't, so be it. But, and then it's up to the council members to take responsibility to read those things. It's the way we're keeping informed of what's going on in detail in the committees. The chair may choose to delegate and then take each member of the committee. And of course, it's responsibility for the chair to maintain decorum and something starting with Robert's rules of order. Obviously, with three people and maybe the manager, you could be a little bit more informal. The other thing is to keep in mind that the chairs should be cognizant that there may be cross-jurisdictional issues between, you know, public safety, public works, for instance, operations and policy, and God knows what. So the chairs should be responsible for working with each other. The final thing is that, as in Congress or anyplace else, it is the president of council who determines what topics go to what committee. So if you're not sure, you check with the president of council. Some of them are just plain obvious or not, but in many cases, it's a little gray. Any questions so far? Thoughts, Mr.
Just wanted to add to what you just said, though, that once the minutes are completed, that the manager will post those minutes to SharePoint.
I have a question. When we create the agenda as chairs, do you want us to go through the president and then have the manager create the agenda, or are we just creating the agenda?
The individual committees can just create their agenda.
The own agenda and doesn't need to go through.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for that. Anything else? Mr. Baker?
While we're keeping them small enough to not be public meetings for the sake of reporting stuff, is it possible for members of the public to be invited if we're discussing something regarding their street, things like that, in these committees? Example being, we had someone from Decatur who was planning for the public works once previously. I felt that was a valuable opportunity.
There's nothing stopping the chair of the committee to choose to invite experts or residents or anything. There's nothing stopping them. Anything else? All right, regarding advisory committees, consultant reports, and some other protocol, I'm going to defer to the president council now. Oh, wait.
I have just a quick question. Does there exist anywhere descriptions of each committee and technically what they should be doing?
I think the answer is no.
Okay.
There's
Thank you.
Yes, President Martin?
There's not anymore.
Oh, were you asking about the advisory committees or the council committees?
The council.
No, I'm not aware.
I know about the advisory.
Yeah, advisory, yeah.
But these council. Thank you.
And that's why sometimes it's up to the president to determine where a topic goes, because it could be A or B.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Did you folks get rid of the old committee meeting rules? Because those did have descriptions of the committees, the standing committees like council. I don't know if you still have them. Council had years and years and years ago when they had a manager here who knew what he was doing. They had rules for meetings, and then they had rules for committees. And the committee rules had a section specified what each committee generally did. So is that still in effect, or is that gone?
Yeah, please.
I believe that is still in the policy listings that we have. And in either case, whether they be existing or not, it would be in our best interest to go through and create, a brief outline of what each committee is responsible for.
Yeah, I think that's true. And that document, I think we passed around, it's like a 10-page document. We did pass it around, and we were aware at the time that when time permits, we need to clean that up. So. Okay, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, just a couple of items on the advisory committee, since that was brought up. These are the appointment from residents. They have an obligation to provide minutes to council on a timely basis. And they also need to provide an annual report of their activities no later than March the 1st of each calendar year. So there's going to be an email that goes out reminding them of that and reminding them to look at the bylaws and make sure they're familiar with that. If they have any questions, they would always go to the manager first. They also will provide an annual budget request by whatever deadline we determine. So as we move forward this year, we will give them a deadline for submitting such requests. In regards to consultants for the different meetings, we recommend, and it is recommended, that the consultants report remotely for the committee meetings and only if necessary, and when possible, just to provide a written report, because what we're trying to do is to eliminate any travel charges and any other types of charges if we can. So we can, as we move forward here, there may be questions and we can try to resolve those as they come up. That's all I have at this point.
One of the protocols.
Yeah, as far as the usual protocols that we've been following, just to maintain some decorum in council chambers, we use last names, to address each other, or if there's other members out there or speakers that attend, we want to make sure that we're doing that. And that just for respect and like I said, some decorum here. Also, for requesting to be recognized, please raise your hand if I don't see you, or if a council or a committee chair doesn't see you, you may say, mention their name, have them look your way so that you can be recognized. So just make sure that once you're recognized and you make your point, it's not a carte blanche to keep discussing the topic. So make your point. It'll go back to the either the council president, or it'll go back to the committee chair. And then if you have another point at that point, you have to raise your hand again and so forth. That's about it.
Okay, then the last part, I'll go through this and then ask Mr. Borough to help me out a little bit, or actually a great deal. Digital communications and communications, period. Emails and texts. We should only use the Forest Hills email. Never, please don't use your personal emails. We want to have everything segregated. It's just, that's the way you want to do it. I know it's kind of a pain. You know what? I have at this point 5 different emails because every organization threatens me with death if I use the wrong one. But that's just the way it is. So please use the only just before it's opening. In fact, as I was telling Mr. Kroll today, at one of the universities, it is a disciplinary issue should you use anything but that. And I can show you I'm going to see any problem. Text, well, you want to be prudent because it is on your personal phone. And yeah, and Mr. Kroll can go a little bit what the risk you are facing if you say things and text to each other or to other people that is a problem. We're on that. No one is doing this right now, but there is in the budget, I believe, $25 or $30 a month. Should you want to have a phone dedicated to your Forest Hills business? I think people did it, use consumer cellular, it's quite inexpensive. It's obviously a nuisance. But if you really want to segregate, so if someone, there would be a case when they have to take your phone for inquiries, you wouldn't use your personal phone. So it's there, the money's there, $25 or $30 a month, but something to think about. As we go through emails, a couple things to think about. That's the primary method of communicating to each other and to residents of the borough, to anyone. You want to be prudent in what you write, because emails are there forever. They're probably easier to pass on and say than a piece of paper. So the general guideline is don't write anything in an email that you would not want to have read in public in this room and God and everyone else. So to be judicious in what you write, because the other thing to keep in mind is, yes, you might send it to just the 7 members of council and the mayor, but someone could forward it either intentionally or inadvertently. And so you want to think about that. There's the old joke about don't write anything you could say, and don't say anything unless you can nod. So, you just want to keep that in mind. The other thing you can be judicious about is when you are writing emails, consider the content and try to keep it as generic as possible. Identifying residents' names, residents' addresses, people's health conditions, even your own policy stands on certain issues. You may not want to put that in an email that can get forwarded. We did have someone inadvertently put some medical information in an email that could have been forwarded outside of this group, and that would have been very awkward. So it's something to keep in mind. So just be judicious about it. The other thing to keep in mind, Mr. Corbell, we'll go into this in detail for you, is the right to know law means that you might consider your communication in an email private, but it is not if someone.
If it's regarding borough business and there isn't an exception to disclosure, it is a public record. So my advice to you folks is always consider everything that you're writing as a public record. I don't want anybody to have to worry about 52 exceptions to the right to know law. When you're writing an email, you should write it just like Jack was talking about. From a right to know perspective, it's the same issue. Like, you don't want to write an email that you would be otherwise embarrassed if it were made public, whether read in this room or put on a billboard on the Ardmore. You don't want that. So believe me, you don't. And we do have the ability to redact information in your email, but if you're talking about a policy and between yourself and the president of council, and then you also put a line there and say, oh yeah, that person that came, they're a real piece of work, or whatever you'd say. I cannot redact that. There's no reason to do so. So just beware.
Thank you. And then the final thing is, and Mr. Corbell will follow up again with this, the issue of group emails. We want to be very careful to limit group emails. If we're trying to make people who are sending out group emails, the president, council, and the borough manager, there may be times any of us may need to do that. I would recommend that you BCC everyone, which makes it almost impossible for someone to do an accidental or an intentional reply all. The second thing is group emails. I would limit things, or I suggest you limit things to information, and that's it. I want you to know this, and in many cases, people will write in the header, please do not respond. The reason I want to be so careful about that is because, again, with the Sunshine Act, we cannot be discussing policies by ourselves as a group, and email is one of the places we can start to do that. And I guess what I suggest, sometimes things go out and are a little borderline, and you might say, well, I'm sticking to the letter of the law. But I would try to be extremely prudent and use an excess of caution and think any reply I have, is it starting to lean toward a policy discussion? Or more importantly, will it encourage someone else to say, hey, here's my thought, and there we go down the railroad tracks. So I encourage that, just in how you handle things. Just put I'll have to say, make it amusing. I learned very early on, when email was brand new. I had a boss that just the one we talked about years later, and she sent out one of her usual silly things that always rolled her eyes. I sent an email in response to my colleague, and unfortunately, I didn't reply at all. I was young and stupid then. Now I'm just stupid. But it was not funny at the time, but right now it makes a great story. So, Mr. Proble, if you could summarize, add to this.
Yeah, so in my typical stance on the group email, it's similar to the right to know law. We can have an information only email, et cetera, but you know, that's an exception to the Sunshine Act, right? Because if all of you are talking, it's deliberating, because you're all copied. It's as if you're in the room and listening to whomever is sending the email. And so what I try to advise is that, I don't want you to make a decision whether or not this is appropriate for executive session, right? You should just, the way to address it is to just keep it to information only. Avoid replying to all, and it's okay to reply just to the sender, right? That's not a violation as long as it's between you. Right, if Angelo would send something out and you would say, I want you to know that I'm 100% opposed to the whatever, and these are the 3 reasons why. That's okay to send to him, but you don't want to send it to everybody. And so, but that also goes to the issue of the right to know law, because whatever you write back is a public record. And do you want that to be available to somebody who would submit a right to know request? I had a client this year where somebody in the crowd, they were amending their zoning ordinance, and somebody requested all emails for a period of time that related to it. And it cost them tens of thousands of dollars to address it, because they had to get the emails off the server. Some people were using private emails, so they had to give up their phones or passwords and things. The documents were in the hundreds of thousands of pages is what. Yeah. And so, you know, it cost them a lot of money, cost a lot of time, and a lot of angst. And there were some things in there that were just like, well, I guess they didn't listen when we had, because I usually have a talk like this everywhere. And they just didn't listen. So it's, again, the same thing goes with text. That is something that everybody asks for. There's been situations where people are texting, where meetings about, people aren't speaking, etc., and not saying these things. There's cases about that. Those are public records. Like, you can't hold them back. So again, I don't think that you all have a group chat, like a group text chat. I do have clients that do. I ask if you do that you include me, so I can monitor. Usually Jack is quick on the draw with an email item. And so, but on the text side, I would probably see this a little bit quicker. But like for the client that does it, it's more like the manager would say, oh, there's a water break on Avenue F last night, just so you know, or there was this emergency situation, or hey, we're going to have an executive session before we, stuff like that. Just information. Merry Christmas, got a lot of those. Happy New Year to those things. Okay, that's fine. I still, you know, I don't, if you don't have one, you don't, I will start one, but that's kind of like baked in their culture. That's what you put. Again, happy to answer any questions anybody has tonight or at any time. You know, please let me know. I think, you know, accessing me is usually a process, and I don't know if you're going to talk about that, but you know, we usually don't let everybody just pick up the phone and call me. Like, you should run anything through the president or the manager, and they can reach out, and they can tell you to reach out about an issue. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you call, I will answer the phone. But a lot of times they're just for like a couple minutes, which isn't a big deal, but you know, and nobody ever has abused that here in quite some time. But some clients do, and then there's an executive session that we have to, you know, don't do that. So that's all. All right, thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions on this topic, Mr. Corbin?
Can I say one more thing? If you were sworn in last night, you have to sign your oath of office before you leave tonight, and I haven't. Thank you.
Okay, in that case, we're almost done. Number 3, I have a motion, requesting that motion contract with the Galen Public Park and Purposes Improvement. As you know, we're recruiting for a new manager. As we did the last time, we're hoping to use the Avon Public Partners Program. The last time we used Mr. Foreman, I think most of you knew him. It was an excellent contribution to the process. Primary, for a number of reasons, but one of the things he has the ability is to reach out to people that might be good for the position, but may not be actively seeking it. And that's been very good. And he was also, I think, had a lot of valuable contributions. So we're asking for that. Before we go any further with that motion, I do want to say that the recruitment committee will probably be meeting this week, but everything is already there for the entire recruitment process, down to the sets of questions for each sets of interviews, the process of how each member of the recruitment committee conducts themselves in interviews, and what they're required to say as an introduction. We got it down, the paperwork is there. So we don't have to do any of that back administrative tiresome backbreaking stuff this time. It's all there. So, and that, with that, can I ask for a motion to contract with Avon Public Partners Program consultant for manager recruitment and assistant?
Yes.
Okay. You're good.
Does anyone have any objection to adding this to motion to the business meeting?
No.
No? Okay, so we'll move forward with that.
The last one, the Avon conference is coming up in the spring, and I'm gonna ask Mr. DeCosta to do this one, because my name isn't there.
Yeah, so what I'm asking you to do is to add a motion to authorize them to attend the Avon Spring Conference this year. Anybody got any problems with that?
Any objections?
I will be there in my other capacities. As well.
Okay, so that motion will be added to the business agenda as well.
Does anyone have anything else for us for policies? This is now 25 minutes, almost 25 minutes, you sitting there. I apologize. Anything else? All right, that concludes the report, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Um,
Finance Committee. This is going to be a little tricky since we've changed up who the chairs are, but if you've been on the Finance Committee, if you have a report, please feel free to speak, whoever would like.
I don't think we have any particular new report just that we're going forward on our budget, but I think we should all be proud of the process pretty confident. I think the question is, how are we looking to open up the budget to address a few small items? And how that procedure would work.
We will be coming to that a little bit later here in the agenda.
The question,
Yes, go ahead.
since I've been informed as mayor, I've had 2 speaking requests, which have honorary attached. I declined to accept an honorarium and my position as mayor. And I would like to know if there is a place I can have people write a check to the borough for skills for public engagement or outreach activities. Is there a place in the budget that I should have them designate for funds to go in lieu of an honorarium to me, which I would like?
I will defer that to Mr. Corbel.
Okay.
I mean, anybody can make a donation. I don't think you necessarily have to identify the line item in the budget, but if you look at the general.
There is under miscellaneous expenses, there is something that says miscellaneous revenues.
Sure, but if they want it for a particular purpose, you know. They could certainly identify that, otherwise I think we would just put it in the fund, and it would just be another revenue point.
I would like it to go into community outreach activities if possible. And so if there's a way to do that appropriately, I'd like to have this where I can designate such funds to go. Because I do get about an average of 30 speaking engagements a year. And I don't always charge for those, but I don't want to accept them on their situation.
What I want to be cautious of is that any honorarium that come in and are directed to a particular issue is not then being used by the person that would have received the honorarium to use those funds. So we gotta be careful about the appearance of.
That's why I'm asking where it should go.
Exactly.
Should it go to Parks and Rec, should it go to, I just don't know, so if we could give you some guidance on that.
We'll look into that and come back with that.
Thank
I think the only other statement we have from finance is that we will be looking to try and have a pretty aggressive sort of project management schedule for all the committees coming up with capital budget considerations and things, so we can have all of that thoroughly in progress well before the middle of the year. Any further questions or comments for finance? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Borough property, I suspect that might be Mr. Bacon.
Yes, thank you. Just a few brief updates, some ongoing projects that will be on closely as they're completed. There's mainly the steps project, which is still in progress. The main park renovations, which you probably all noticed in the play structure in place, some work to be completed along with the new bridge, and also the upcoming pool renovation project. As the year goes on, we'll also be checking with some other things, closing out on issues with the firewall, potentially some multimodal grant, seeking coming up and projects to go with that. There's a couple, there's one, I think this year, and then one upcoming probably next year, park stormwater projects that we'll be looking to try and incorporate any opportunities we may have for beautification of the parks and the amenities to go along with that. And then supporting the tree and shrub committee's guidance and other findings from the tree image study that will be coming out as a report shortly. That concludes borough property.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Planning and zoning.
Just an update on, the Westingham site. I communicated with the gentleman who is looking into purchasing that site. They're still going through some environmental testing, but he still seems to be engaged in it and saving our house measure, so that's good news. Otherwise, I am no longer going to be chair of planning and zoning, but I'd like to work with the committee to transition over, just so we could talk about the ad hoc group that we brought together and some of the projects that we've discussed in terms of getting assistance and so forth. So maybe Ann and I can catch up soon.
That's good.
Otherwise, I have nothing else to report.
Thank you, Mr. Frosta.
Something under that issue?
Yes.
The Borough of Forest Hills was awarded 2 internship projects through the Connect Research Council. One will be doing work on the market readiness for our business district, including publishing the business directly on the website. And the other will be coordinating with Churchill, Chalfont, and Wilkins on a complete streets policy now that they've all adopted that transportation plan. So we do have 2 groups of Matt Haley graduate students coming to us through Connect, and they'll be working with the planning group that we put together.
Are they coming through, sorry,
Yeah.
are they coming through Connect? Because
Yes,
Matt's at CMU, right?
yes, but there are 12 faculty members from different universities who are in the Connect Research Council. And Matt Haley took 6 projects, there are 3 out of 5. And I don't know where the other 3 are from, one from Duquesne, and I think one from College.
I was aware of the first project, but not the second. about the streets.
It's a multi-community project, and it technically was filed by Churchill, but they
Okay.
asked us to run the coordination because they have 2 other projects. So because it's 4 of us.
Us meeting Connect.
4 communities in Connect are doing that project, and it's the complete streets, but it's our complete streets plan. Our actual transportation plan that everybody else is looking at.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna update that, and, on that two conversations we had. Otherwise, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. DeCrosta. Next up is Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to mention that, I tried getting a report from, Mr. Fosbring, but I read the reports that have been issued for Public Works. But I did want to comment that, working with Kevin Brett, about grants, and what he has mentioned to council several times is for matching funds, we should only be concentrating on sewers and getting those so that we're in compliance. That we can certainly look at some grants and hope they don't have a match. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Next up is Public Safety. I guess I can talk about that unless somebody else would like to. Just a report that, we've had some ongoing issues. Some of the latest things we were working on were speed humps. I think we've gotten a process in place to work on those things. There's a couple of outstanding speed humps that are supposed to be installed if the weather improves. These would be the permanent speed humps. One is two of them are on Fairfax. There's one set to be installed on Woodside. And again, as soon as the weather clears up, that'll be done. We're also have had discussions about putting speed timing lines on various roads. Chief Williams provided a list of what he thought would be some good areas. I have a list too. I will turn that over to Mr. DeCrosta so that he can continue in those efforts. And then the other item is we had looked at from time to time. We brought this up about lighting on Ardmore Boulevard, particularly between Braddock Road and Fillmore. That whole stretch there is very dark in the evening. We did get a couple of quotes for some small bollard type lightings that were solar, and they would have been costly to implement. But there's that multimodal grant that we will be reviewing and possibly see if there's a fit for that in the grant. And that's all I have. Are there any questions? Mr. DeCrosta.
Did we ever follow up on the issues with the speed, the energy and the speed signs along Ardmore and so forth?
No, the last we had that discussion was that some of those solar panels are still not aimed correctly. Hopefully we will address that in this coming year so we can get that straightened out. There may still be problems with the batteries because they did sit there for over almost a year and a half, 2 years.
With not the correct charge.
Correct, yes. Anyone else? Ms. Martin?
I had a question. Are we still following up with PennDOT about the wall along Ardmore Boulevard and the cracks and water coming through?
They provided an update, and all we can do is continue to monitor the situation. They said that they've inspected it, they've shown proof of inspection, but they don't have any plans to make any repairs. They said it's stable. So we're on record as having pointed out that we have concerns.
Thank you.
That's all we can do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? No. As long as we're on public safety, since Chief Williams is here, did you have anything you'd like to add?
I just wanted to mention, I've sent a few Saturdays about lately across some incidents that occurred in the borough. And I just wanted to mention that these particular incidents that we've had are generally targeted incidents that really aren't a threat to the general public. But again, people should always be on their guard, pay attention when they can help us. And I've sent that as well. You could notify us if you have some video, you could look at it, provide us with it. That's always a great help. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next, we have old business. And I do have an item I'd like to bring up under old business. And that is, last evening, I made several committee assignments. I was approached by our mayor requesting an assignment on two committees that she's been involved with. And so I'd like to make a change. Under Connect, I'd like to add Mr. Marco as our representative, along with Mr. Bacon and Mr. Thielacker. I think we can have more than two representatives. And then under the PA Municipal League, add Mr. Marco as the primary, Mr. Thielacker as the secondary, and remove Miss Martin unless Miss Martin really cherishes that position.
It's fine by me.
Okay, great.
Solving under control, opinion.
Anyone else have anything on old business? No? Okay, under new business, I have a request to reopen the budget only for review purposes. This is not to change the millage or do anything in that respect, but to, since we have an expert in our interim manager, to review the budget to make sure that the funds are in the right location and that we didn't miss anything, and that we're good with that. Mr. Bacon.
There's one other item within the budget that I think we should consider adding, which is the expense of, former manager severance and search for the manager. I think that adds up to enough money that we should have that account for student art supplies at the end of the year. I think it's probably going to take up most of the anticipated return to reserves.
Okay. Well, okay, so first we have to see if someone wants to make a motion to open the budget for review.
Add it to the agenda.
And okay, first, a motion to add that request to open the budget to the agenda.
Please, yes.
So move.
So moved, yes.
Do we have a second?
Seconds.
Any discussion?
So the question as to what Mr. Bacon just mentioned. Is there a reserve fund where all of these expenses would come out, not from our general budget? Or is it part of the general budget?
I would assume it's general budget, which we should be pulling this from. It's like an operational expense.
Yes, I think we can look at that once we get the budget open.
Yeah.
And then we have Mr.
Okay.
Morris advise us.
There may all be a line, I think, for higher expenses or something that would be appropriate.
We have a voice vote on adding this to the new business. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Now it's a motion.
Now, do we have a motion to reopen the budget? Second,
Second.
any discussions? Public comment? No. Okay, can we do it? Pardon me? Ms. Lewis?
My only question was, whether or not the items that, we became aware of in the emails that came out, I don't remember, it was right after the surgery, but within the last couple of weeks about the outstanding issues at the fire department. I don't call, but I don't believe that there is anything in the budget to address those issues. So I didn't know where things stood with that, and if we were gonna reopen the budget anyway, that we particularly the issues involving the sewage backups and the leaking roof. We need to.
Those issues have been addressed.
They've been addressed.
They're being,
Okay.
have been addressed and they're being addressed.
Great.
Okay, so anyone else? Okay, do we need a roll call or, okay, can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, is there anyone, Mr.
One piece of their business, perhaps you can clarify this. With the committees, we will have to be the committee chairs will have to be scheduling for the coming year. And I just say, the hope was that the committee chairs will do the best they can for those whose schedules are tight, to try to work with other committee chairs so that people who are working full days can try to have all the meetings at the same time. That may or may not be possible, but if the committee chairs could do the best they could. The other thing is we're coming into the second week of January, so everybody relax about the committee this month. If you just get on a phone call and talk about your plans for the year, that's probably as best we can do. Can you add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've been trying to be very flexible with the meetings. So, I mean, you don't have to meet in person, you can meet by phone, you can meet by video. So you can do it at your, whatever works best for everyone. And, I think if you happen to be on multiple committees and it works out, you could probably piggyback those meetings one after the other, so it's at your discretion. Yeah,
I just wanted to add one thing about the budget. I understand just opening to look, but if there are changes that need to be made, we're on a very tight timeframe. Right, it has to be done by February 15th, which is a Sunday, and it has to be open for public inspection 10 days before we would vote upon it. There's special meeting opportunities, etc. But I just wanted to make sure that I know you're aware of it, but I just want to make sure that the group is aware.
And what I believe is that what we have in the budget now, as you know, I'll use the big word, that everything in that is fungible, at least for the majority of items. So I think what we want to make sure is that we didn't miss anything, like did we have the money in the wrong place? And that wouldn't materially change the budget. So that's what I'm hoping that we were able to achieve. Mr. DeCross, did you have your hand up?
yeah, I had a new item, can we move on? Or did you have a budget item?
I have a question on the schedule.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I assume we are needing to have that all settled by a certain date, first or something like that, so that we can publish the meeting schedule for the remainder of the year in one go, correct?
We are not publishing the meeting schedule. Those meetings are not public. So they do not need to be published.
My one follow-up with that then is about the one council meeting we have scheduled in August for the National Night Out, that I was hoping we'd be able to maybe. I think the assumption was we were gonna somehow have that moved after the start of the year. Any other adjustments?
Yeah, I think we'll look at that as we get closer to that. If everyone wants to be off that evening, I'm not sure. Everyone has that same. Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know that everyone has that same feeling that they want to be off on that evening. But like I said, we'll look at it as we get closer.
All right, we'll treat it like a separate item from.
Yeah.
Weekend.
Anyone else? Mr. DeCross, you're speaking.
Yeah, so I had a conversation with a few of our colleagues, a month or so ago. I had a discussion with a professor at Duquesne who is willing to allow one of his group projects to be our website. And with a few of you that I spoke to, everyone was pretty supportive, but I wasn't sure if this was the kind of thing that we had to vote on as a council to just, to approve it, and give them the go ahead. They wouldn't be starting anything until probably beginning of February. But I think, if I'm correct, that this would probably go to the Ops and Policies Committee, to, hand off information and to receive the feedback from them. I guess, should we discuss if this is something anyone would be opposed to, and if not, should we put it on the next business meeting agenda?
Let me comment. I've already begun, actually, in the last 3 or 4 days, redoing some items that are on the website that have been, sorely needed to be changed. That's not to say that it wouldn't be helpful to have a
Okay,
student come in and just, look it over as well and see what their opinions are.
right,
And unless anybody's opposed, I'm not sure that we really, if there's no cost to us,
no cost.
so I'm not sure. Is everybody good with that?
And of course, we can't make changes to our
No.
website or anything, but just be sort of overall
Sure.
evaluation.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily know our platform or anything like that, so.
And I'd be willing to work with them to bring them up to speed. So,
Okay, great, thanks.
yeah. No, I don't need another title to please. Okay. I just wanted to point out another thing too. We were talking about what the different the committees are and what their requirements are and what their functions are. If you go onto the website, under policies, under rules for council committee meetings, there are a short blurb under each committee as to what the committee is supposed to be doing. So that is available there. Maybe it needs to be updated and improved, or maybe it's fine, so you can take a look at it and come back with any suggestions. Madam Mayor, you had something that you wanted to address this evening?
I have two things. One is the five public engagements in park that we're going for this summer. I am attempting to get all of them underwritten, 3 of them are underwritten so far. But I really believe that it's important that we provide opportunities for the public to be in our public space, in our public park. It's the people's pay for that park and everything else, and it's important to get the community together at a time when things are under stress anyway. I am working with the Garden Club to coordinate with their activities on farmers market, and second Fridays are being planned in conjunction with the councils and advisory boards, so that they all have opportunity to participate as the topic is appropriate. The second one is I would like to resume having quarterly town halls in the borough council chambers for updating the public on public interest issues that are important. One being emergency preparedness and resilience planning. We had in our after meeting from the April 29th event a number of items that people felt need to be more broadly understood in the public. So that's one topic. Another would be the stormwater management, participation of citizens in managing stormwater runoff on their property, especially on the steep hillsides and tops of hills. I think there are other topics of that nature that I would like to have 4 times reserved quarterly to do that in this space. I know that Representative Abigail Salisbury and Senator Jay Costa are both interested in helping to participate and provide resources for these kinds of issues. So I hope I have no objection from the council from doing town halls in the town hall. And they would be nonpartisan, open to all members of the public and other communities adjacent.
I'm going to suggest that those meetings be held at the Westinghouse Lodge and not in this building.
Why?
We've had regardless of the nonpartisan attempt, some of those individuals are running for office again. And I think we've created a policy where any of those kinds of events would take place in the Westinghouse Lodge. It's not a burden to go over to the other way, to go over to the Westinghouse Lodge. So, Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, on a practical note, the Westinghouse Lodge is bigger and can accommodate, if you're talking about multi-community attendance, this is a very small space, and there's a lot more opportunity to, particularly it's gonna be an event, and they want to bring in food, things like that. The Westinghouse Lodge, I think, is much more
Would there
appropriate
be a
space.
charge for use of the space for that kind of a purpose?
That is, we've had that, discussion, and that's at the discretion of the manager. And I would think for a town hall, there would be no charge. And what? That, oh, you have one.
I think I'll rest it there. Those are the two things I want to say.
All right, thank you. Anyone else before we adjourn? Mr. Bacon?
And I think we should review our policies about the room usage here in the because I believe we wrote in that we have town hall specifically in this space when we amended those policies before.
Yes, I think that'd be great to have a town hall if we're having it within our group. If the mayor was going to run the town hall, anytime you introduce some other elected officials that are state, federal, there's always that element of politicization. So, Mr. Bacon?
I think we should like literally review that policy because I think we can trust those officials to be on their campaign behavior versus their personal behavior. I don't think that's really our judgment.
Yeah, I don't.
I think we have that very specifically written in as an anticipated use of the building. So I think we should just check it and maybe bring it up again.
Clarification based on that, I'm afraid to touch this thing. If I'm doing a public information meeting as the mayor and there are no other officials present, is that a use of this?
That would be appropriate.
Okay, and I'm thinking about the AV capability here to make it available to people who can't come in person, for example, which isn't the capacity we have to listen to.
Yeah, the problem is, again, we have limited space here, so if you're,
Well, we get what 80 people at the most of these things, and you don't get overwhelming. I think the biggest thing we ever had in here was when Congressman Boyle was here, and we had 110 people in the room, I know this.
and we have a capacity limit for these
Yeah.
rooms too. So that's why Westinghouse Lodge would be the preferred space.
But it doesn't have AV capability for hybrid presentation.
We have a portable speaker system that can be used in there.
Or an AV, Zoom capability, for example.
Do we know about we have a Zoom capability in the Westinghouse Lodge?
I
don't know.
You guys did
Well,
that after I was gone.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, we will adjourn unless there are any objections. Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.
I'm rather blue.